Coming up next on Meet the Farmer TV.
And actually, I've taken this type of thing here, saturated this in oil and soy sauce with some molasses, maybe even a little hot sauce, all mixed into a marinade, and then tie these up just like this and put them on my barbecue. And the outside gets charcoaled, and on the inside they're just like beautifully sauteed. And when you keep them tied up, when you're done, you just put them on your plate, you just chop them, and it's incredible.
This program is a production of Meet the Farmer TV, LLC, in association with Planet Earth Diversified, Melli Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design. Today we take Meet the Farmer TV on the road. I'm Michael Clark, your host for Meet the Farmer TV. Today we travel to South Florida. Let's talk to Michael Madfis, who's doing sustainable microagriculture and putting the nobility back into farming right here, right now on Meet the Farmer TV.
What we're doing, in the community are a lot of things. We're just by physically being here, we're creating a place, we're displacing a lot of negative energy with positive energy, all those neat things. But in a broader context, we want to develop a local food system that can create employment, healthy environments, education, and basically through that employment establish or reestablish a middle class that holds on to its wealth in the community and can then provide all the things that a strong economy, a local economy can do. We can provide our own charity locally, we can connect our civic groups together so that we become stronger. Just a lot of things when we're focused more locally. Again, you get big nationals involved with boys and girls clubs and YMCAs and all that. They tend to distract us from really being a community. Big box stores donate to a lot of these organizations and really almost take away the focus sometimes of local interests, where years ago you might have had the local lumber yard or the local bike store participate in these programs and get recognition for it, and also people feel more connected, Anyway, the organization that we've started called Growing Broward, I'm going to read the brief description. Growing Broward is a nonprofit business organization supporting the building of a just, healthy, and sustainable economy around local food production. So that's local food production, but to produce food you need transportation, you need sometimes refrigerated storage, you need financing to finance your business, you need education and training, or you need human resources. So all these things you would need if you were in the architectural business. I would need to be able to call up a job service to find people to come work for me, or go to a university, graduating architects, and talk to the dean and find out what students I could hire. I would need pencils to do my drawings. So I would go to a place that sells pencils or makes pencils. I need to make prints of my drawings that I could then share with my clients and others. So I'd have to go to a print shop. These are not architects. They're not necessarily in the architectural business, but they are part of the system of architectural services. Same thing in the food industry. We need people who will do advertising, who do soil, develop soil. In the landscape industry, there are places that make compost for landscapers. That, unfortunately, really won't work well for vegetable growers, but we need someone doing the same kind of work for us. So these are industries that can all be created around food. So if I need compost, I'm buying compost now from Palm Beach, thousands of dollars worth. Between my farm and 3 other farms, we made enough purchases of compost to justify somebody doing that business here in Fort Lauderdale. I make my own seedlings, but that takes some time and it costs me money. If a bunch of high school kids, or even kids from the Dan Marino Center who may have be on the autism spectrum, could work 2 hours a day making, who knows, maybe $100 worth of seedlings in 2 hours. It's pretty repetitious. It's the kind of thing kids with autism can do easily. They may only be able to do it for a few hours and need to take a break, but they can make money at it. If I could buy those seedlings from them, we plant every other week, usually 20 trays, 72 seedlings in each. If I pay 10 cents a seedling, there's hundreds of dollars there per week for a few hours work. So that's just a whole industry right there alone. And then there's just all kinds of seedlings, not just seedlings for us, but seedlings for guys making pepper sauce and sprouts. Everything that's hot today is sprouts. So there's all these industries around local food, not just the food itself. The irrigation supplies, not the same as you would use in a landscape, but still like irrigation. Transportation, I see all kinds of vehicles go by here repeatedly all day long, whether they be these white vans, which I'm not sure where they're going, but they're the same white van I see going around here at least every hour. The Broward County Transit, he goes down 3rd Avenue right to Broward. There's about 3 restaurants along that trip. If I went up to him with a box of food and said, hey, I'm going to have one of my customers come by the stop in 10 minutes and pick up this box of food, do you think we could use Broward County buses as part of our transportation system for the local food industry? Or how about Meals on Wheels, which delivers 16,000 meals a week to people in Broward County? They must be going somewhere that we could hitch a ride with. Or there's the pedicab service that runs downtown, the bicycle taxi. They run mostly in the evening. People, who don't want to be driving after drinking will take those pedicabs, from bar to bar. Well, in the afternoon, they could be picking up the food here and bringing it down to YOLO or one of the other restaurants on Las Olas, instead of us, using some other transportation that doesn't exist already that we'd be creating new. We already have this transportation. We don't have to repeat it. We already have transportation running right down the street we need to. We don't need to add any more carbon footprint by putting another vehicle on the road. So these are all the things that the community can do by banding together. Now, we have a group that's been meeting regularly and we are expanding, but we need to expand further. We need others who can see their place in this food system to move up and say, yes, I want to join, I want to be part of this. We have a Facebook page, Growing Broward. We have a Facebook group, Growing Broward. Just type it in. That's Growing Broward, as in Broward County, Florida. And you'll find us, like us. And if you're in the local Broward County area and you're related to food, let us know how you want to participate. Come to our meetings. We're already networking, we're already sharing resources. I'm buying now my compost teas, my fertilizers, my natural fertilizers made by another farmer who actually is sort of getting out of the farming business and now finding it possible to go in the organic fertilizer business, where he's basically making up all kinds of brews of teas from organic composted materials, breeding worms for worm castings. So this is something I've been missing. I've had to ship from California or other places, and now we have it locally here. And this gentleman is starting a new industry. He can start training others in the same industry. They can expand. So this is the excitement of this, is that we can create a whole industry around local food. These apartment buildings, people may not cook food all that often there, but they do now and then. One business can be this, collecting all the compostable waste off the kitchen countertop every evening. How do you do that? Well, you get a sponsor on paper bags, little, sandwich paper bags. You get someone to pay for advertising on those paper bags, and you print them up with their advertising on them. Could be the dry cleaner, could be Starbucks coffee. Who would be, attracted to these, customers here? Anybody with a local business, the little convenience store down the street. They could all buy advertising, maybe 10 cents on a bag. Hundreds of these bags. Now, a kid from high school takes these bags and drops them off at the counter, at the concierge at each of these apartment houses. In the evening, when people come home, they pick up the bag and they put it on their countertop just before they make dinner. While making dinner, the extra leaves of lettuce and the carrot and whatever else that they're going to throw away, they put in that paper bag. The paper bag has a hanger with the advertising showing, and they hang that outside on their doorknob. The next afternoon after school, one of the students who's been properly approved with a badge walks through the hallways with a 5-gallon bucket picking up all these compostable bags with the advertising on it and brings them over to the farm. And the farmer may pay him again for that compost. So now the student is making money selling the advertising as well as and selling the compost material to the farmer. So on 2 points they're making money. They don't have to charge a lot to either one, but can earn a nice little living, I mean not a living, but can earn a little weekly cash, maybe $30, $40 a week, working a couple hours, collecting compost from apartment buildings. So like when I was a kid, I had a paper route. This is sort of a backwards way of that. So there's all kinds of little businesses that can come from this, and employment and integration in the food industry. To the extreme, I joke when we're setting up the farm and we're rolling out the fabric and filling the bags that this should be competition. We should have the extreme micro farm sports, where there'll be a competition who can fill the most bags and put them in place. Who knows how to lay out the irrigation fast and punch all the holes and get the things in, time everybody, and then, we could have a whole, reality TV show around this. They have the firemen have the competition about the fire hose and turning on the hydrant and who can climb the ladder, and the logmen, spinning the logs and chopping down trees and all that. We can have the same types of competition around harvesting, who can harvest the most amount of tomatoes fastest, who can plant the most amount of seedlings in the shortest amount of time. All these neat little competitions, and even around hybrid plants, and they could all be judged by PhD agricultural professors, or we could have celebrity chefs, or we could have athletes here, commenting on our abilities. So there's a whole endless element to merchandising this concept of urban farming. But yeah, we, just like Ray Kroc with McDonald's, they started out with 11 items on their menu. I think they have 108 now. He probably dreamed up all 108 the first week he opened, just went on and on. But you can only introduce these things, so many at a time. And we have the same issue here. We have opportunities for doing education on this farm with kids from kindergarten through high school, or even elderly, or, like I said, kids with autism. But we need to write the programs. We need to write the curriculum. Some curriculum exists, but we need people to come in now and be the educators, people who will write the curriculum for autistic kids, who need to have redundancy in the program, so if something goes wrong, they can be switched right into another mode without losing any space. It's different for kindergarten kids. It's different for kids in high school. They want to learn maybe more about the philosophy of urban agriculture, where kids in elementary school just want to plant some seeds. So all that curriculum can be a whole nother industry. And once these prototypes are developed here, they can be repeated almost anywhere else. So we're looking for people to come in and share these opportunities, who want to become part of this new urban agricultural industry, but they can come from an industry that they already are in, and use that to connect with our current developing industry. And that will strengthen our system and make something out of our local food industry. Well, what would we be doing in the future is a question we're always asking ourselves. It's important when you're an entrepreneur to be thinking, way ahead. So we have sort of two strategies. One is to self-finance this thing through the development of capital that will come from the production and things that we're working on. The other one is to go out and look for larger amounts of financing and capital that will sort of perhaps catapult us a little further forward faster. Of course, there's pros and cons with both, so we're thinking about that all the time. But our immediate goals are really to be able to transition this system of farming the way we do it to almost anybody. So we've developed an apprenticeship program that we're really in our second phase with, and it's getting better. And that's important to us. We want to have a fully developed apprenticeship program by the end of this year, 2014. We have the program really well outlined. We have some of the sections completed, but we're working with our current apprentices, and as we go through some of the experiences themselves, we'll be actually completing that program. That's really important to being able to multiply these farms. Without the apprenticeship program, the ability to transmit what we do here to somebody else and do it successfully in 6 to 9 months, that will allow us to repeat more and more of these farms. Part of the problem is we don't have enough farmers or enough people ready to do this. So we can't, run out there and borrow a whole bunch of money and build farms if we don't have farmers. So it's sort of, catch-22 right now, and that's becoming our priority, is getting this apprenticeship program, proving to ourselves that we can actually train others to do this well. That's our sort of short-term goal, maybe over the next year. We expect that will be done, like I say, by December. During that time, of course, we'll be working on many of these other aspects simultaneously, and our next goal really is to double the amount of farms we have on the ground. We have this farm here, we have one down on Andrews Avenue we call Andrews Farm, and we have another farm called Criswell. It's not our farm, it's one of our sister farms. It's operated by Kevin Quigley, who is virtually one of our apprentices. He's basically mimicked our system, and we've given him all the knowledge and experience that we have, and we're learning from him as well. So the more of these we have on the ground, obviously the more we can learn. There's another farm in West Dania called Mozino Farm, or often referred to as Boutique Farm. And there's a couple of these projects that we built for some public agencies. And so now, if you look back 3 years ago, there were none of these bags in Broward County growing food. Today, I think there's over 30,000 of these bags growing food. And Jack Miller, who manufactures these things, I guess, is pretty happy. And we're happy too, because now I'm not the only one, and when other people see these, oh, I saw one in Lauderhill, oh, I saw one out on Hiatus, oh, I saw one in Miramar, and I can say, yeah, you see, it's I'm not the only crazy guy out here, there's actually something worth doing here. So that's really important, that we've come all that way. What our goal really is to try to double that again. So if we can double that again really in another 2 years, we'd be real happy. Our goal, again, is to maybe see 25 of these farms in a city like Fort Lauderdale in 5 years from now. We could have 25 of these farms, 6 months from now if we had the money, the farmers, and all that. It doesn't take much time to build them. We built this one in a month and a half. But we really need to train the people. We need to create the market. We need to get the food system adjusted to accept all of this stuff. We need the other parts of the industry to supply the seedlings and the compost. We need all those things really to come up together. So to leapfrog much faster with just producing food production may not be any more beneficial than to make sure we get everything rising up together. So those are sort of our short and long-term goals, as I can talk about them right now. Well, I think what's happening is again, in the trends that I see coming with especially young people, people are recognizing the environment is fragile, and that our resources are depleted, and that this fracking and these chemtrails and all these things that are, our Earth is really being affected. And again, years ago, even as short a time ago as 1850s, even maybe 1800s in England, food was not so commoditized. In other words, the book by Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, was written in 1764, and it really talked about this whole idea of commoditization of goods, which was pretty much, farm products, cattle and wool and corn and wheat. These were actually currencies at one time. Wool and wheat and corn were actually used as currency in Old England. And because those things were produced locally and sold locally, the cycle was local, not just with the economy, but with the waste. The corn waste and all that waste would go back on the farm and replenish the soil. The sheep would, manure would go back into the soil. Even the food that the farmer ate and the outhouse, all that would basically recirculate back into the land. So if land was left unfarmed, it was actually, over time, less fertile than land that was actually farmed. But what's happened over time is that those commodities have become attracted to other nations, and they've been shipped off to those other nations. Well, when those nations are done with those commodities, they're not shipping back the waste. It doesn't go back into that farm. many times that cattle isn't even raised on the farm anymore on the ground. It's raised in a factory. So its poop doesn't go back into the ground. So the soil now is being depleted over and over and over again to the point where it doesn't sustain anything. And so what we have is we have an economy that's based on extraction. There's no regeneration. In the early times of even capitalism, there was regeneration. Our products were recycled locally, and the waste went right back into the ground. As capitalism has advanced and mechanization, because labor has become undignified, we've basically overproduced. We continue to extract, and we don't replenish. And I think people are recognizing this. I think this is something that people are realizing that is harming them, is harming the earth, is harming all of our systems are broken over this whole thing of lack of regeneration, total extraction. The whole concept of over-merchandising something to the point where we've extracted every possible dollar out of an item for its mechanized, production. We really end up with very little left. There's nothing to go back. And whether there was even much value there to begin with. So people realize that they want some value, they want something to be able to put back in place. This, sounds, existential in a way, or intangible, but people are feeling it, and I see that with the people who come to our market, to the people that sign up for our apprenticeship. They may be even making decent money, but they're not happy, doing what they're doing. They realize that they're just extracting, that they're not giving anything back. And that's a big issue. Philosophically, there's social planners now that are referring to the Marxist concept of the metabolic rift, which is really what I just described, which is the fact that in a capitalist society, we end up totally in the mode of extraction, without regenerating things, without putting back, whether it's taking things right out of our community or whether it's extracting oil out of the ground or resources without replenishing. It's really taking a lot out of our whole society. It's causing disease. It's causing all these illnesses. It's causing cancer. Our generation may be the last generation to live as long or longer than their grandparents. After that, it looks like people will be dying younger and younger because the energy just isn't there, anymore. It's not in our food. All the energy has been extracted. You're not going to get all the nutrition you need from drinking an Ensure every day. I'm sorry. It may have fiber and vitamins in it, but it just doesn't work that way. And I think people are beginning to recognize that. So they don't know how to change it back. They've been told everything is fine and that just keep going to the supermarket and buying, high fiber cereal and you'll be okay. And, take this and take that medicine, and side effects might be dramatic, but, you'll feel better for a few minutes. And it's, these are things people recognize and they just don't want. Coming out here on this farm is so therapeutic. As I mentioned, I went through this transition from architecture to agriculture. It really wasn't chosen. And change, may be good, but it's never fun up front. So coming out here and doing this change experience, as much as I was feeling bad about, taking a big cut in income and, how was I going to meet all my obligations under that type of pressure, when I was out here, it was so therapeutic. When you put a seed in the ground and something actually grows, it's, you realize you've actually achieved something, you've made something, you've accomplished something. You see it happen. When you work all day, sometimes you don't know whether you accomplished anything or not. Your boss may do well, but, did it really make a difference? So here you see the difference right away, or in a short time, and it's very reassuring, very satisfying, and very therapeutic. And I think others who come out here and see this are amazed, and they feel good about it too. They feel good about it when they see our results. It's not even their results. They feel good. So they see results. They see positive movement. They don't see destruction. They don't see dismantlement. They don't see maybe a brand new building, but maybe it's not anything that they like going on around it or even anything they know. But they see something here that all of a sudden they can connect to, and it's different, it's It just happened so easily, it seems. And all those are positive things. I get discouraged sometimes myself because it's a slow process and so many things are broken in the system. But I have to say myself, when I come out here, this really makes it worthwhile, just being out here. It's important that we realize these are all economic incubators that can be repeated elsewhere. We're not the only one doing something like this. There's a group a little further north of here, 5 or 6 blocks north, near a Home Depot, that's renting a warehouse called Makerspace. And there's Makerspace activity all over the country, I think in Chicago and other places. These are like labs or studios where they share computers and carpentry tools and 3D printers and some high-tech stuff that you may not be able to have at home. And people come together and they socialize. They also work on their own projects, and it becomes, like I say, almost an incubator for people to think about starting little businesses along those lines, or providing consulting services, or even doing small artisan crafts, just like we're doing local food. There's another group a little further south of here, just by a few blocks. Leanne Barber is running a group called Made in Broward. And she has a little house she converted into a licensed kitchen. She also has sewing machines. She's developed what is maybe like a little country store. And people can come there and they can use the kitchen to produce cottage foods. Even foods outside the cottage food rules, because she has a licensed kitchen. They can actually do other cooking and preparation there. In her little sort of country store area, they can display the products for sale. They also have sewing rooms where people can come and do textiles and sew and weave and all these sort of local crafts. And anyone can do these things, just like anyone can do this farming. So we're not the only one coming up with this type of idea. And of course, we know about them because we're networking together. And these are examples that can be transferred anywhere else in the country. And like I say, these are economic incubators that can create employment opportunities that can be sold for cash. You don't need to swipe your card to buy them. But maybe if we did have to accept the convenience of using electronic money, we could establish our own local bank where we had our local currency that would divert that money electronically right into that bank, and the money would stay in our community before it would run off to JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or Wells Fargo or some of those larger institutions where they hold the money, they earn money on that money, and they may not reinvest back in our community. They may reinvest, who knows, in New York City or in Hong Kong or maybe in their backyard or something. But we want to see that money reinvested back here.
Well, there you have it, another great episode of Meet the Farmer TV. I'm Michael Clark saying keep farming from South Florida. Well, join us next time at Meet the Farmer TV as we do something interesting and exciting right here on Free Speech TV. This program is a production of Meet the Farmer TV, LLC, in association with Planet Earth Diversified, Melli Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design.